Now that we've selected those curves and we've computed where the placement points are going to be, we're ready to start creating. And in this case, we're going to group the points together to get ourselves ready to do the creation. What we're going to do is basically group different points that'll be the placement points for the adaptive component. And to do that, we're going to transpose the lists of points. Right now we have 3 lists that each have some number of points in them. What I want is the number of trusses, okay, with 3 points in each. So we're going to do a little transpose. Then just to help visualize, I'm going to create a little bit of a NURBS curve between the 3 points just to see where the trusses will be placed. That'll be a great starting point before I actually place the adaptive components. Then once we are feeling good about that, we can place the adaptive components using the groups of points. Okay, so let's see how that all is visualized or how that all works. So we are back over here. You see we have our 3 different curves and they have the placement points upon them. Okay, we are ready to go through and start placing. But before we do that, here we have our list. You'll see we have, again, these 3 different lists that each have 9 points in them. What I really need is 9 different lists of 3. So what I'm going to do is do a transpose. Transpose, again, just rotates that orientation. And when you transpose, you'll get the 9 lists of 3. Now, before we actually place the adaptive components, which can take a little time because it's editing things in Revit, creating all these different elements. Again, it's often helpful to do a little visualization dynamo just to make sure that we're getting things the way we want them. So what I'll do is basically play this NURBS curve at each of those different truss points. You can sort of see now where the trusses will be, just kind of confirm visually that looks pretty good, and that does look pretty good. So let's go ahead and use those groups of 3 to now place the adaptive components. So we have an adaptive component here, which uses 3 different placement points. And what I'm going to do is pull the points in, or at least the groups of points, and the family type. And when we run this, it'll place those trusses. Now, the big important thing to keep in mind about placing the adaptive components is that the numbers have to match. So if you're looking for a 3-point object, you have to feed it groups of 3 points. Otherwise, it won't be able to create them. So just keep track of, it's all about setting up the groups of points right to be able to place the adaptive components properly. Okay, let's go ahead and run that. So this is taking a little bit more time. Oops, looks like it's not quite right. Let's see if we can figure out why. Oh, that's the NURBS curve. That's not what I wanted. What I actually want is these transposed lists of points. So let's run that instead. Okay, and there you go. Now we have created these different adaptive components. There's the list of 9 of them here. You can see them over here in the Revit window. Now again, these are adaptive. So if, for example, I come over and I change the shape of that curve, maybe flattening it out some, okay, what'll happen is when the points are recomputed, those components will be rerun or recreated to follow the new shape. And that's really what the beauty is of the adaptive components. We could kind of have our defining curves, adjust our geometry, and then have the Revit elements adapt to that. Okay, so now you have the ability to go through and place some very basic adaptive components using Revit geometry. Next, we're going to take a look at how we can place those adaptive components on some computed geometry.